Okay, Mayor, we're good to go.
I'm going to call the May 12th, 2020 meeting of the Christiansburg Town Council to order. I will make a couple of announcements before we go any deeper. Michelle Stipes, our clerk, is with Brad Stipes. They're sharing a computer based on a weak signal that they're getting, as she did last year. She is on the she's on the system and is available, I believe, if we need her for anything. Thank you. I'd like for us to take a moment of reflection at this time to honor, certainly remembering those that are dealing and suffering, whether they're ill or whether it's their business or affected with the COVID-19 and the shutdown. I would like to also, you keep in your thoughts the first responders. And since this is Police Week, I would like for you to keep our police officers in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you. Thank you. If you will join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. To the viewing public, I apologize for being a little bit late. We were having some Facebook issues, but I understand everything is up and going now. Are there any adjustments to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move to public hearings, and there are no public hearings scheduled for tonight. Under the consent agenda, approval of the minutes of the April 28th, 2020 meeting, award a contract to CHA in the amount of $521,200 for field inspection, design, bidding, and contract administration services for the Arrowhead Sanitary Sewer Rehabilitation and Replacement Project. Acceptance of approximately $36,000 in CARES Act funding for our EMS Medicare billing loss of revenue associated with COVID-19, and reschedule a public hearing for lease agreement for 415 Cambria Street to Northwest to May 26, 2020.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you poll council, please?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilwoman Sachs?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
That is 6-0. Thank you. I don't believe we have any introductions and presentations scheduled for tonight. We had one citizen's comment or one comment that we will review later. You've all been sent an email message of it. Under committee reports, I don't believe we have had any committee meetings. Is that correct, ladies and gentlemen?
That's correct.
That's correct. Okay. We go on to discussion and action by mayor and council. Consideration of the donation and use of the mobile stage by Montgomery County Public Schools for high school graduates. Had a meeting and a conversation with Dr. Meir last week, and he asked if we would be interested in renting the stage to Montgomery County Schools. May 30th is their graduation. I think they have 4 graduations scheduled that day, starting at 8 o'clock and the final one starting about 5:30. They are going to supply the sound system. They're going to provide banners. And I thought it would be a good gesture on our part if we donated the stage for their use.
I'm fine with
I
that.
second.
Okay, Brad, that's a
I
motion.
second.
And Joanna, that's a second. Any further discussion?
Great idea.
Madam
Fabulous.
Madam Clerk?
I just have one comment that Christiansburg High School is the fourth one, and they will start at 5:30 on that date.
Right. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks,
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard,
Aye.
Councilwoman Sacks,
Aye.
Councilman Showalter,
Aye.
Councilman Stipes.
Aye.
That is 6-0. Thank you. I'll notify Dr. Muir tomorrow. Update on discussion of public hearing procedures. Randy, I'm going to turn that one over to you. You're muted, Randy.
Okay, brought up basically the current schedule for the budget. We had set the public hearing back last meeting. We set that public hearing for the next meeting, May 26th. What we plan on doing for the public hearing is we plan on opening things up for public comment, basically email and phone lines through the 26th. We submitted the ad to the news messenger, and the ad's going to run on the 16th. And again, like I say, we're looking at holding the public hearing on the budget on May 26th and potential for budget adoption on June 9th. A couple of items in regards to public hearings. We're going to ask that you reschedule the public, or we reschedule the public hearing for the fiber technology solution lease for 415 Cambria Street. And like I say, we also have a public hearing set on the 20th for the budget.
Now, we will be present in council chambers. Is that correct?
Well, actually, you're not required to be there during this because of the special provisions for the COVID-19, the emergency provisions. Electronic meetings for Zoom are permitted for public hearings because of special proclamation by Governor declaring the state of emergency and Code of Virginia section 44-146-16. Also, our declaration of an emergency also. There's a few other Code of Virginia sections there that you see are applicable.
Hey, can you go back to the last slide, please, Randy? The first slide, I guess. Two public hearing, no, okay, I'm sorry, the second slide. The next slide. Two public hearings scheduled for what? Tuesday, May what?
Sorry, that's 20.
So 2 weeks?
It's 2 weeks, 26th.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Ways we're going to allow public comment. We'll have an online forum that people can submit comments. The forum will be active from 5 p.m. On May 27th. If you wish to submit comments to following the council meeting, we'll have email available for comment. We'll also take voice comments regarding the budget. People will be able to mail in comments regarding the budget, and also people can drop comments in the Dropbox regarding the budget. Or the other public hearing item for that matter, the lease agreement. Opportunity to comment live during the meeting also will be available. You'd have to sign up to speak live during the meeting, and we would basically let you speak via Zoom. Staff would send directions to the speaker in order for them to basically come online to speak, and they'd be given 3 minutes each to speak. A speaker must sign up separately for each public hearing to speak if they'd like to speak on both though. And just some other upcoming public hearing items we had. Obviously, these have kind of built up a little bit because of the COVID-19 situation. We've got the public hearing for Magnolia Point, also the old middle school property for the county, Reagan's Point, and also rezoning in the CUP at Vinnie Drive, the Foster and Stansel property that we recently brought into town. Also, a couple of right-of-way vacations that are pending. And after council meetings are resumed, staff will target resuming all committee meetings electronically or in person as permitted starting in June. And like I say, I know we need to get back to having committee meetings. Like I say, I think we're looking at doing those at the very least via Zoom. We may, hopefully we'll be able to go back to in-person meetings.
Very good. Any questions?
If, any issues with any of these ways of handling things, any additional ways you'd like to try to take comments, we're certainly open to that.
I would only say, this is Brad, I would only say that we should follow the governor's guidelines. And I think he's done a pretty good job with this, and I would recommend whatever he, however, we act as a, as a region on this, I guess, as a whole state, but I would say we should follow his guidelines.
Very good. Anything else? Then we'll move on to staff reports from the town manager. You probably covered a bunch of them in that last presentation.
Okay. Council emailed last week the council retreat items. That is basically an Excel spreadsheet. It has council action items from the retreat in late February, also a timeline for completion and status notes. I just kind of want your input into that. If you have any comments, any changes, particularly, like I say, wording of any of the action items. But I think we did do a pretty good job of documenting what the directions were of the majority of council from the retreat.
That is,
Anything else?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
That was pre-COVID-19 stuff that we deal with before. I know with the new budget, with the budget we're looking at and everything, don't you think that it will be wise to maybe see if there is any other items that we may want to discuss as far as the effects that this is having in the impact that this is having in our community?
That's council's discretion.
Well, these were the action items that we talked about in the council retreat. I'm not sure that exactly when we'll know the exact hit on the budget. And I think at that point, once we know, I think there are some items that we may need to discuss further and take action on, or at least see where we stand on. But I think this item that he brought up is from the meeting at the New Valley Development Corporation on February 20th, I believe was the day, or 27th, somewhere in that area.
Well, I think I would like to have more clarification as far as the farmers market location, not for this year, but future location. As far as maybe looking into downtown park, or see if there's other ways that we can communicate to the citizens and see what they want to do as far as having a farmers market in the downtown area.
And at some point in the next few months, we can discuss that. I'd like to see how this farmers market runs. It seems to be a very exciting farmers market with a lot more things added, a lot more vendors added. So I'd like to take a look, and I think we will advertise it more, and hopefully the attendance will be better, but who knows? And we'll have to make that decision later in the year. My personal opinion.
Thank you, sir.
Concerning the farmer's market, Ms. Hicks, I'm sure that you talked to Brad Epperly, and he talked to me about 2 weeks ago and told me some of the different events that they're planning for this summer and how they're going to handle it. And if you haven't had a chance to talk to him, I encourage you to do that, and he'll fill you in.
Thank you, sir.
One thing I'll point out is, basically review the location of the farmers markets, one of the action items on the retreat action items list.
Okay. All right.
Thank
Just
you,
also
Randy.
Just also mention that the Battelle Decontamination Center's opened. That's at the Virginia Tech campus. It's kind of a nice resource for us to have in the area. They're doing a decontamination of N95 masks. That's one of only 3 centers in the state of Virginia. And our emergency responders can use that free of charge. So it's got kind of a nice resource, like I say, to have in the region. Also, I mentioned today that we found out that basically the state is going to be receiving CARES Act money. Virginia is getting $3.3 billion, I believe, in CARES Act money. They're distributing $650 million of that to localities other than, I think it's Prince William County, I believe, is getting $200 million because of their large population. The other $650 million is to be distributed on population. And Montgomery County is eligible for $8.5 million in CARES funding. That is to deal with COVID-19 response. The towns are basically to work with the county on distribution of that money, and our finance directors and the managers are going to work together on basically how that will work out. Like I say, I think we can work out something that's equitable. Basically, the state guidance on it is it's to be distributed from the counties to the towns on an equitable basis. And like I say, that's not to be used for lost revenue at this point. That's really to be used for COVID-19 response. Obviously, we haven't spent that much money on that at this point. The period that is eligible for that's March 1st until December 30th this year. So there's still obviously a wide time frame for the use of that. Also, it could, the criteria for the usage could still be broadened also.
We potentially discuss about giving some of the money to companies that are willing to come up with new technology to build masks, respirators, or anything like that related to COVID-19?
It has to be directly to response. I think something like research for a company, I don't think would necessarily be eligible. It has to be basically the local government expenditure reimbursement is what's covered currently under the funding. Not to say that there couldn't be additional guidance later that it could be used differently, but right now, like I say, reimbursement or us distributing that to private sector, I don't think would be allowed under the current guidelines.
Okay.
Anything else, Randy?
Also mention I have the chiefs available, and if you'd like to bring them up under other staff.
I plan on doing that. Mr. Broughton, do you have anything? Randy, are you done?
Yes.
Reed,
I don't have anything to add, Mayor. Thank you.
you okay? All right.
Yes.
Other staff, we have the chiefs, and I will let you all decide what pecking order you go into. Billy, you want to start?
Mayor, I'm going to defer to Chief Sisson tonight.
Okay.
And I appreciate that, Mr. Hanks. Council, I hope all are doing well. Just want to give you a quick update from our task force. The regional task force continues to meet at 8 a.m. daily each day, and that we're very strong that our work on the task force is helping protect our community each day and will eventually lead us into a recovery phase. Just an update on some of the future testing. We will be at Radford Recreation Center tomorrow, and then back at Blacksburg High School on Friday. We have tested over 2,000 individuals in our health district, which is huge. If you look at some of the national numbers and even some of the highly dense populated areas, 2,000 individuals is a huge number. Of those 2,000, we've had 66 positive cases in Montgomery County, 3 in Floyd, 9 in Pulaski, 8 in Giles. Of those positive cases, 12 have been hospitalized, and unfortunately, we have had 1 death. The positive is, in our region, out of over 2,000 cases, our positive rate is just over 4.5%, which is well below the state average for positive based on testing. So that's a very positive number. We'll update that Chief Hanks and I will be involved in the virtual town hall meeting tomorrow evening that starts at 6 o'clock. That's just an informative panel that's been set up. I think Randy and the town managers and city managers will be involved next Wednesday night. And just to follow up, Randy mentioned the Battelle decontamination system. That is that's huge for this region. This system that's got dropped at Virginia Tech is one of 3 in the state, and they can decontaminate 80,000 masks a day. Now, the task force realizes that this could be a huge changer in our region. It's available to first responders, hospitals, healthcare units, pharmacists, dentists, emergency managers, and any other essential field during this crisis. So for that to land in our health district is huge, and at the end of the day could be a game changer. So I'll defer to Chief Hanks and Chief Coyle for any updates they may have.
One thing I'll mention, I brought up pictures of the test sites if you'd like to run through those.
Yeah, Randy, if you could run through them right there, I'll try to commentate here a little bit. The back up that first one there, that's the test site at the New River Valley Fairgrounds in Dublin. We set that up for the residents of Pulaski County. It's very well controlled. Our partners with the logistics on this, include, of course, my deputy fire marshal, the police agencies from Christiansburg, Blacksburg, Sheriff's Department of Montgomery County, our Sheriff's Departments in Giles County, Pulaski County, and Floyd County, as well as our National Guard folks. Our building inspector, our building inspections department, and our building official, Jerry Henline, has allowed us to borrow 2 of his inspectors, and we use those guys for check-in for anyone that comes on site and anyone leaving site. We tested at Floyd County High School. That site was put together and set up, and it, as you can see, it's very well organized to where the people drive through, and there's very little contact with anyone that's setting up the site, and the health department workers are the only people that have contact with the patients that come through. This slide right here is the Giles High School slide. The logistics on it was a little different from anything that we had, but we adjusted to it real quick. When we first started out, I don't think we had about 60 people registered to sign up over there, but by the first hour of the day of the test site, it had grown substantially, and we tested over 130 people that day. So we were real good about moving on the fly. The Blacksburg test site, Blacksburg High School, we've been running that site from day one. It runs very smooth. It's off the beaten path, so that the people coming through the test site don't have to worry about someone seeing. Their privacy is all held intact, and we try to abide by the HIPAA rules with their privacy. It's contained, well run, and we've had very great amount of success with that site. The New River Valley Mall site, we've set up at the mall twice. This is the second. The picture you see here is the second setup that we had at the mall site. We condensed it down, made it smaller, and this site worked very well for us too. We got 2 successful days at the mall here in town, and if we need to come back to the mall, it's just a matter of the logistics team putting it all together and bringing it in and having it set up. I think that's it, isn't it, Randy?
Yes.
Be glad to answer any questions if anyone on council has any.
I just-
Couple questions. Go ahead, Hopper.
I just have a comment. I think we're fortunate that we have a doctor who is the governor, and I think he's handled it well. And down here at the grassroots level, you guys have done just a tremendous job. And the only question I have not had a haircut in 8 weeks, and I look out at Chief Sisson, and he looks like he's right in boot camp, and I just wonder how he has pulled that off.
Well, it's nice to have a barber at home.
Are you done, Howard?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Hanks, good evening, sir. And Marcison, I have a couple of questions. The people that are getting tested here in the county, do they have to fill in information that they're from here, or are you having cases where people are coming from Roanoke or other locations and getting tested at this location, since we happen to have the ability to get people tested for no charge?
I can answer that to say that I am sure that we've had individuals from outside our health district come in for testing. They do collect information from them, as I talked about in our last conference. We want our citizens to understand that if they want to be tested, they can be tested, but there's a process for that, and that's simply calling the health department, and I'll provide that phone number again for any resident that's on the call. They would simply call the hotline at 540-267-8240, and they'll provide instructions, and if deemed that the health department feels there's a test needed, they'll set them up for one of our future testing sites. But to answer the question, I would say we have had individuals from outside of this region tested, correct.
Okay, thank you, sir. And I guess the second question is, I guess this will be mostly for Randy. As you well know, there's a lot of people that have lost so much revenue during this difficult times. As you guys are getting these sites for testing, are you guys being charged? Let's per se the mall, I know that they continuously lose money every day now that they are not open. Are you guys having to pay for this space during this time that you're having those tents out there and that people are coming through their parking lots and things like that? Is that something that and if we are getting charged, can we use some of the money that we're getting from the grants to give to these companies or owners for the usage of their space?
We aren't being charged to set up at any of these locations, although we do have expenses that go with setting up at these locations. I'll give you an example, like the tents we're using, we've rented those. We were fortunate enough that we ordered them early enough that we could actually get them. But basically those are the types of things that are eligible for reimbursement through the CARES Act. I'll give you an example, the test kits that we ordered on our own, we believe those are reimbursable. You mentioned the fact that we do have some testing from outside the area, and I know we have had, I'd call it probably a very limited amount of testing outside the Newer Valley Health District. Because people do have to call at least a day in advance, basically, to set up for the testing. And obviously you've got to basically make an appointment for the drive-through test. But I do believe things like that are eligible for reimbursement through the CARES Act. That's certainly part of the COVID-19 response.
Right. Randy, one correction on that. The tents that we were using on site were purchased by Montgomery County.
Okay.
We did buy all those right at the get-go. We felt like it was cheaper in the long run to go ahead and purchase those tents. We bought them from Dick's Sporting Goods. So that Montgomery County does own those tents right now, and it was a lot cheaper than a long-term rental agreement with having to get someone come in and set up tents for us. So that would be the only correction I would have there.
I'd like to follow up on Ms. Hicks's question about, these businesses charging us. We've developed some phenomenal community partners in this region during this crisis, as we always do. But the Newer Valley Mall has been very open to allow us to use their facility. The school system, Dr. Meyer, has been very open to allow us to come on the school property. So it's a community effort, and we're very thankful for those partnerships.
That's wonderful. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Mark, if I can add something to Walmart has been a huge supporter of this effort. They've supplied us with water for our manpower at the sites, snacks and stuff for our people. Like Chief Sisson said, this is a great community to live in. We have great support from our community members in the community, and the members of our task force are just second to none. I mean, this whole group came together, and we put this together as a group. I don't think one single entity could have done what we have accomplished with this. It's been a group effort, and all of our partners should be commended for the efforts that they put forth every day.
Well said.
Very good. Thank you, guys. Thank you for everything that you're doing.
Joe, do you have anything?
Oh, I think y'all covered it very well. Right now, our call volume's down, and we're just very appreciative of the efforts of the task force in helping us get PPE and keeping us in the loop.
One related item I mentioned, Steve had mentioned getting a haircut. The governor today put out executive order, let's see, it is 61, and it gives guidance on reopening certain businesses. Basically restaurants with outdoor dining, barber, beauty salons, farmer markets. So it's basically just looking towards the phased reopening beginning on Friday.
What else is under phase one, Randy, as far as restrictions, and can you give a little bit of information to any business owner out there today as far as what do they have to do as far as when they start opening up their businesses?
This document is 11 pages, so I'd rather not try to get into the details of all the guidelines for all the different types of businesses. But there's information in there in regards to personal care and grooming establishments, campgrounds, indoor shooting ranges, like I say, fitness and exercise facilities, brick and mortar retail.
Randy,
But
can we have a link to that? Can we have a link?
We certainly can. We'll post it on our webpage.
That would be awesome. Thank you, Randy.
Sure.
Very good. Are we done? Council reports?
Well,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
about the Randy, the Appalachian Regional Commission awarded $3.75 million to the Christiansburg for the COVID-19 emergency response for the small to medium enterprises. Can you explain a little bit where the money is going to?
Really off the top of my head, I cannot. I can look into that and report back to you if you like.
That would be nice. Thank you.
Sorry, Virginia is, and it's now Appalachian Regional Commission. It's Virginia Community Capital. That is basically more or less kind of a nonprofit bank spinoff of Community Housing Partners. I'm assuming that's to be used for low interest loans and that type work. I did get an email about that today, but I haven't really read through it.
I think any information you can share with us in the near future would be appreciated by all of us.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Council reports. I'll start with Mr. Stipes.
Council report will be brief, but I think we all appreciate good news. I know there's some interesting personalities out there saying what's going well, and I want to give a shout out to Amy Southall and our PR department for our splash page and some of the extra information that's out to our community. I know Councilman Showalter had requested some of this, but looking at that, it's really comforting to know that we're showing things like our restaurant operations during COVID-19, our community resources, and it's being kept fresh. So I really appreciate that and keeping life as normal as possible. And then real briefly on the other good news, the About Town Town Talk comments. I want to read two from those that's showing that life is going on and our staff is doing an outstanding job. One is to the police department in reference to a mini parade the police department provided to a 9-year-old girl on her birthday. I want to give a huge thank you to the CPD for making one girl proud on her birthday. Truly feels great to have your city step up during these unforeseen times. In another message, she said her daughter cried happy tears. Public Works, this is from Mary H. I love where we live. This morning again, I watched a town employee get out of his truck, walk up a neighbor's driveway, and take the trash can to the truck. After emptying it, the gentleman took the can back to the house. Kindness abounds. And there's a bunch of other good news out there, but we are sticking together as a community with our first responders, and we're keeping life as normal as possible under these trying conditions. And I'm really proud to be associated with the town and these great staff that we have. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Showalter.
I have nothing to report, just to tack on to what Brad said. I think I saw a post today where even Public Works, as you said, Brad, of course, they do that every trash day to go help our citizens, but going above and beyond, and it's nice to be, but Mayor, I think you probably saw this too, the Public Works, where we've seen the town police go by and wish a young person a happy birthday. Public Works, I actually saw a video today, so they're getting into the action too with that too, and I thought that was really neat. But I have nothing to report, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Huppert.
I tell you, I was going to ask a question to Mr. Wakefield about the article in the paper today about the governor sending money down to different localities, but I think he's pretty much covered that. Do you have anything else to add, Randy?
No, like I say, I think we'll be able to work out some type of agreeable situation with the county and Blacksburg. I think between the managers and the finance directors, we all get along pretty well. And we do have, I guess, some guidance from the state as far as distribution on that. So like I say, I think we can work out, and it is supposed to be basically reimbursement of response at this point anyhow. So I think we can all agree. At this point, we haven't spent anywhere near that amount of money. By the end of December, I can't necessarily tell you that. But at this point, I think there's lots of money there so far. Like I say, considering it's only eligible for response. It's not eligible right now to be used for loss of revenue.
The only other thing I'd have is, I'm not sure if you saw in the paper on Sunday, we had a little article there about people supporting local businesses and helping with tips and things of that nature. And I just wanted to tell Melissa, I wanted my appreciation for her to help me clean that up a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hubbard. Mr. Bishop?
Yeah, I don't have anything to report at this time.
Okay. Ms. Sachs?
We've not had any committee meetings, so I have no report on that. I just ditto what Mr. Stipes had said.
Okay. Ms. Hicks?
Yes, I want to make people aware that there is a box outside the front of Town Hall. Is the box in there is for people to drop off handmade cards or greeting cards that they can provide for the mail a hug to a senior citizen. What we're doing is we're dropping off all these cards from citizens that want to say hi to a third person from a nursing home or any of those facilities right now. We're providing them with cards and just special notes to make sure that they know that they're loved by our community. So anybody that has time to make a card, please do that, and then just drop it off in front of Town Hall. There is a box in there for those cards to be dropped off. And then once they're dropped off over there, there is several people that are coming over and picking those up and taking them to these different locations. So that's great over there that you can, if you can do that for the senior citizen, that would be really appreciated. Also, I would really like to thank our Christiansburg Police Department and then the Public Works and all the other departments that are going out there, the fire trucks and everything else going over there to celebrate people for their birthdays or going to the hospital the other day to say thank you to the nurses and doctors and all the people that work at the hospital, and also thank you for going over there to the, I know that they went to a nursing home too, so that's awesome. Thank you so much for doing that. And then also, I wanted to just say something really quick, since this is about money that we have spent or we're going to be spending. I know that the whole thing with community money came out the other day, and we voted on this money to be provided to the community, but I also want to make sure that this community support nonprofit organizations like DCI, that they can also support. I know that they're getting money from us this year, so I would really encourage them to also reach out to not just central businesses, but also other businesses that are hurting during this time, like the Starlight, the mall, the NRV Super Bowl, Amelia's restaurants, other restaurants like Bull and Bones and hair salons and all other places that are not located in central location. But with that said, I also would like to see if instead of this money coming out of our community support from the town of Christiansburg, that maybe the tourism office can also chip in into that and help DCI instead of having to be the town of Christiansburg citizens. I have to come out with more money, since the tourism office already makes, well, they made last year $159,000 for tourism. And just be healthy, be safe. Thank you so much, you guys. And I cannot wait for these hair salons to be open and to try to have some normalcy during these difficult times for everybody. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I will say that the lady that's been cutting my hair for over 30 years called me yesterday, and I have an appointment Tuesday to get my hair cut. So I am looking so forward to it. I look like a paintbrush of a morning sometimes. I don't have anything really to add other than to again echo Councilman Stipes and Huppert and Sachs and Hicks, the appreciation that I show personally for our public works and police, to those that have gone the extra mile to help some of these children celebrate their birthdays. It's very heartwarming, and the letters that came in the newsletter were very, very encouraging, and those things. So I think that it is time well spent in this community involvement thing that we're getting in. So with that, is there any other business to come before council? Hearing none, we will adjourn. Thank you.
Good night.